Hi, it's Lori from Coast to Coast Craft Girls coming to you from the West Coast. Today I wanted to share a little Valentine's card that I'm making. I thought it was adorable. This one in particular, I'm going to use a little bit different die here on the next one, but this one uses a Spellbinder's embossing folder with a Crafter's Companion edgeable die that's a heart. And then this is a Crafter's Companion Christmas die. It's meant to be a polar bear, but I just cut it in craft card in pink to make like a little more of a Valentine's bear. And then this is a Crafter's Companion sentiment. So this is the card I'm going to make. I'll show you how it's made, but I am going to use a little bit different die because I found a teddy bear die that I like a little bit better. And this one I embossed the wrong way. I think it actually looks okay, but I think I'm going to emboss it I'm going to try and remember to emboss it the other way. And then also I'm going to use a little bit of foam tape to raise this up, whereas this is very flat. So let's get started. So we're going to start with cutting the edge. So we're going to cut first and then emboss, because if you emboss first and then cut, your embossing will get squished by your cut. So I'm going to take a piece of card. This is 5 3/4 inch square, and it's Centura Pearl Touch Up Gold. And I'm going to put now you got to remember on an edgeable, the cut line goes along this bottom. So I'm going to cut that up here wherever I want my little teddy bear and stuff to go. And I'm going to actually raise it a little bit higher too, I think. So we're going to slide that up about there and just angle it in. Okay, so there's the top piece. So I'm going to take that out. So there's my top piece. I'll set that to one side. Now I'm going to cut the bottom. You can save all these little hearts. They make great shaker cards. Now for the bottom, I'm going to flip it over. You can do it this way again. You don't want to do it this way because the cutting line's on the bottom. So you got to flip it over and you're going to cut this way. So your hearts are going to be upside down on the bottom, but that's okay. And then I'm going to cut, and I want to cut a similar kind of a wave pattern, but I want to leave enough room because I'm going to separate them, and that's where my teddy bear is going to go. So I'm going to pull that down just a little bit. And that'll give me that gap, this gap in the middle. Okay, so to see what it's going to look like, it's going to look like that, but this is going to be empty. So that gives you your two pieces. Now I'm going to emboss those. Now I've got the Spellbinder's embossing folder. This is the embossing folder of the month from December. And it's a little bit narrow for a 6x6, but it's close enough. So just get your pieces in there. And we're going to run that through. Okay, so there's my two front pieces. Now you can see I also embossed that back one. So to make this inside strip, see it's embossed and inked. And I don't need a full piece. So this is 5 3/4 by 4 inches. And that'll give me enough to cover the gap. But it doesn't have to, because it only has to be wide enough to cover that gap. But remember, even though that gap is only 1 inch, you have to get from here to there. So that's about 4 inches. And I'm going to ink that. I'll put some color on it. I'm going to use the Pink Tulip water reactive inks. And mostly you just want to give it a little bit of color so that it separates itself from the white, and so that it gives you a nice background for your teddy bear or whatever you put in there. And you want to pick up those hearts or whatever you have on your embossing folder. You can use any embossing folder you want. And I don't care about this corner because it's not going to show. Now let's build our card. So I've got my two pieces. They're going to go like this. And then I've got a 6x6 card that I've just put a layer of pink background paper on. Now, to know where to put this background piece, you have to kind of get this lined up where it would go with a pink border, and then slide this, and then you can kind of, you know, I'm just going to mark it here, there, there, and there. And then I know my pink, this card's got to cover those marks. Okay, just like that. So let's go ahead and get those glued in. And I'm going to glue this one flat, and then I'm going to raise the Centura Pearl up on foam tape. Now for these, I'm going to put them on foam tape, but just make sure when you layer them on there that you feel like you have a good enough gap. And I feel like that's good. If you didn't think you had enough gap, just slice some off the top and the bottom or whichever. Okay, but I'm going to go ahead and layer these up with some foam tape. Now, see on this one, I told you this was the Crafter's Companion polar bear from a Christmas collection probably 4 years ago. But this die I got from Amazon, and it's a cute little teddy bear die, and I loved it, and I thought I would try that. And I'm going to slide him in there. In fact, I should put him in before I put the foam tape in, because he's going to go in like that. Okay, and I'm just going to use some, I think I'll just use my 3D glue gel to hold him in there. I'm going to put some 3D glue gel behind his head and a bunch of it behind his body. That's really all you need. And then I've got my little sentiment, and you can put the top and the bottom. On this one, I put it on the top because I had a lot of space up there. I think this one I'm going to actually put on the bottom. And we're just going to make that one flat. And that's it. We're all done. So here's the first one using the Crafter's Companion Polar Bear. And I used a little bit lighter pink and then a brighter pink there. And this one I've used my little teddy bear die from Amazon. And a little bit brighter pink on the background and a little bit lighter pink on the foreground. So anyway, two different looks. I mean, essentially the same card, just using slightly different dies. So thanks for watching.